Hold up. We're live, but still hold up.
Dead air.
Let's see if it works.
I hear it from your computer, not my headphones.
That's sick. That's perfect. Probably. Oh, why would that happen? Well, back to the old tried and true. Oh, man. How many people are using that for a podcast intro?
2.
Gotta be. Gotta be at least 100,000. We're back with the Gambit Stratagem podcast. What's
Don't
been
call it a comeback. We've been here for 2 weeks.
what's been new since our last video on Monday?
I had alcohol for the first time in 30 days
Last night.
and the night before.
How did you feel the next day?
Fine.
I had one beer last night. I feel terrible.
One constant I've talked so this has kind of been my first. That's not true. This is the second time I've gone a full month without drinking. The first time was last year's nutrition challenge. I have zero recollection on how going back to drinking after that was. I don't think I paid attention. This time I had a lot of people warning me to not go overboard with alcohol because like it's going to be much more efficacious.
Yeah.
I didn't feel inebriated or anything. I had a couple glasses of wine. I was good to go.
We didn't go overboard.
I did not.
Just had a couple. Not
Today's
like
the
a
first
bottle.
Friday though, so
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think
I haven't had
February
wine
1st,
yet.
Like we were gonna go to Pizzaioli for the wine tasting, but all the tables were reserved.
Oh, that
Which
sounded
is why you
awesome.
didn't get the invite. We were gonna invite you.
I would have gone too. I had plans too, and I would have canceled them.
So that was
Pizzaioli and wine.
We sadly missed out on that, but we did go to Hop Shop and get a nice little African wine. Which is just interesting. I just can't say I've ever run across an imported African wine. It wasn't bad. Ooh,
I'm not sure I can say that either.
it wasn't great the first day, but we finished the bottle last night and it was much better.
I just took I took a random stab at like 2 different wines. The one time I think you and I were there with some other people, and I didn't like either one of them.
They don't have the wine selection of Yakis.
Yeah, fair.
Or the general disposition.
We've been really into this wine that you can only get at Trader Joe's. Called Figment with a PH.
Wow.
And it's like $9.
Yeah.
And it's so good, and you get like whatever it is that gives you, like, it gives some people like the sinusy stuff, nitrates or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that for us. So it's like, man, it's just right on the money. It might not be $9. It's less than $15 for sure. Got a cool label on it. The last couple times they haven't had it, but I tried 2 other. Granted, I've been all in on Italian wines since going to Italy, so we're Italian now.
We're actually planning a trip to Italy.
We're gonna raise Luigi in a very traditional Italian household. You're planning a trip to Italy?
Yeah.
Are we invited?
Sure.
When are you going?
That's a question for Mara.
We want to take Luigi to the homeland.
We need to plan it so that Kelly gives birth while we're there. So then he's dual citizen.
Ooh, wow, that's a strong move. What a play!
What a power move.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and we talked about this before, but for everyone listening who's super interested, I'm sure I signed up for a jackets required Scotch club.
Jackets required.
Yeah,
that's a new revelation.
And I don't drink Scotch or necessarily enjoy Scotch, so I'm kind of like, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I might hate it. We'll see. But the thought did occur to me that it would be super fun to do a wine club with some friends, where you just get because the deal is like every With this deal, it's like once a quarter,
Yeah.
and everybody kicks in $40-$50 or something, and you buy like bottles that you'd never, like $250+ bottles that you would never buy for yourself.
So those bottles are hard to find. Like you gotta know people.
Yeah, and I think like it'd be cool for the wine thing because I think there's a few of us that are kind of into wine. I know you're not necessarily super into wine, but as into coffee as you are, I could see you getting into wine for sure because it's a similar kind of just like vibe. I think, and I'm probably generalizing. Sorry if that's offensive.
Yeah, no, it's just the opposite part of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wine is just coffee for nighttime.
Yeah. With the opposite effect. Coffee gets you out of bed, wine puts you to bed. Because we could like learn about it together.
Yeah.
We could start at a relatively low, very achievable price point and kind of build our way up and then figure out where we can acquire some of those nicer bottles. Like we're not going to come out swinging with $150 bottles because they're just going to be wasted on us. So we can start with $50 bottles or something because everybody chipped in $10 or something.
For sure. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that could be our new social gig. But I had one Nicaraguan beer last night. And I don't feel good this morning. Might be a coincidence. Sleep score pretty bad. Headache present.
I got punched a lot by a dog.
Little sinusy. You got punched a lot by a dog.
Yeah, he's just got long legs. He likes to stretch out in the middle of the night and
Earl.
Sometimes you're on the wrong end of the legs. What else? So the other thing that's new is we've been watching The Last of Us, HBO. Shout out. Have you watched it yet?
Yeah.
Did you watch the last episode?
Is there 3 episodes? So I think we're caught up. Yes, we're caught up.
This past week was the most heart-wrenching thing I've ever watched in my life.
The love story?
I won't give any spoilers, but you don't even have to know the story really to like.
I think we should give spoilers. I don't care.
They've had almost a week to watch.
You're not watching it. This is the Gambit Stratagem / Last of Us companion podcast.
The range of Nick Offerman, I don't think people understood until that moment. I
didn't even think about that, but when I saw, because I saw like the screenshot that he was going to be in the episode, and I just had a preconceived notion of the type of character he was going to play,
and he did play that character.
I was going to say, to be fair, he did pretty much play the character you're expecting,
but with emotion.
Yeah,
like he's classically his role has classically been
and gay. I was not expecting him to be gay,
but his like classic iterations be like this. Anti-government, libertarian, stoic guy, right? Like
meat cooking,
red-blooded American. Man, it was. I think Mara needed to go to therapy afterwards.
Yeah,
she was a wreck.
I loved it to not to like make it all about it being a gay love story, but it was just like I just didn't see it coming.
No,
like I caught at one point I was like, something happened. The way the one guy looked at the other guy, it just was kind of like, oh, I wonder if this is gonna be.
As soon as they met, like as soon as he found him, she was like, yeah, they're gonna be lovers. I was like, no way.
Yeah,
and she's like, no, I'm telling you. And sure enough.
And it was probably 3/4 of the way through the episode. I was like, we've been on this story the entire episode, and I'm entertained. Like I'm engaged here.
Yeah.
Really good. So if you guys aren't watching Last of Us, we're gonna give it our official stamp of approval. I might go download the game and start playing it.
So the funny, and I don't know if you ever watched like the post episode director's feedback stuff.
No, not for that.
I haven't played the game, so I know very little. Like I know it in theory and like all that, but
same here.
So apparently in the game, those characters exist, but you only meet Nick Offerman's character in the game, and he kind of touches base with he had a partner named, and I forget his partner's name, Frank, I think.
Yeah,
Frank, and I don't remember the other one's name, but like they allude to like he has a partner that is a man, like he is gay, but he has since passed, so he's still very much alive. So they changed directions obviously there because, and they touch on this after the episode. They're like, we didn't want to stray from the game unless it made the storyline better. And I wholeheartedly agree.
I was just really curious after I watched the episode. I was like, I wonder how many people were upset about this episode.
Sure.
It had to be some.
I don't see how you.
But if you
could
can
be.
use,
It's so
if
good.
you can use Instagram or Facebook comments as a barometer for the entire population, which we know you can, no one's upset.
It was so good.
I went through an Instagram post and I was like, I'm just curious to see what some a-hole is going to say.
Yeah.
Morbid curiosity. And everybody was positive on
It
it.
was so good.
Yeah. And there, like, a couple people were like, I don't really like watching two guys, but it was a good episode, though.
So even
like, man,
the
that's when you know
homophobes
it's good. Yeah. So yeah, it was good.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, we're here to talk about
Things.
Yeah, things and stuff. We're here to talk about
endurance.
What'd
events.
you say? OCR, obstacle course racing.
I would say like
I think
endurance events. Yeah,
I subtitled the episode "Endurance Events," but I also
functional
named...
fitness endurance events.
Yeah. And I'm gonna attempt to share my screen to show some websites, but I don't exactly.
I think we
know
could put
what's
High
happening,
Rocks
so.
in there, kind of too. It's a
I've
little
never
bit
heard
different.
of that.
Oh,
So
really?
You're the right person to talk. So, full disclosure up front is Shawn has done a Go Ruck,
couple
Go Rucks, but you've not done like a Tough Mudder or a Spartan race.
No,
I've done none of the above, but I've done similar events within the realm of CrossFit. I kind of get it.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be like overly harsh or judgmental. We're not here to. We're going to be overly harsh and judgmental.
I make no promises.
Yeah. But like, I think just a quick conversation on like maybe their importance in the realm of fitness and maybe our training in particular, and maybe for anyone that like subscribes to our train of thought or is coached by us in some way or another, like what do we think, and advice or whatever, any of the above topics. So
yeah, I think specifically looking at like Spartan and Tough Mudder, because they're the more public facing, they're the more known, they're the more popular, the more mainstream, if you will. I think it's interesting and cool to have some of those movements like rope climbs, like burpees, like are pretty, I would say, commonplace, but obviously tie back into CrossFit in a lot of ways. It's cool to see some of that stuff to be more public facing, forward facing. And I think it could be like an opportunity to get
something.
High Rocks, HYROX.
Oh, I have heard of that.
I think it's an interesting way to get people who might not have ever been introduced to like functional fitness, to rope climbs, to CrossFit, to that kind of stuff, interested in it.
So I agree. In my opinion on, let me see. I'm trying to see if there's a description page for High Rocks.
High Rocks is kind of an odd one. It might not fit in here exactly.
There's one in Glasgow and Stuttgart.
It is
about the sport. Sorry. So before that, I'll give my general consensus on it. I'm very intrigued by this realm of fitness because I think it is very similar to CrossFit in the way that they intend to like measure and or express fitness. I think it's a very practical, functional look at what it's like traversing. You think about, my brain automatically goes to a situation like the show we just talked about, Last of Us, post-apocalyptic world where you have to like crawl under, climb over, lift stuff. Like your life depends on you being able to complete certain tasks. And I love the kind of idea that like, hey, you need to cover 20 miles or 5K and also climb over some stuff while you're at it and do some other obstacles, and like your ability to, traverse distance. And it's kind of like CrossFit could be a very powerful training tool to get you through that. So I find it very interesting. I haven't done one because I've often been frustrated by how the events look, and I just don't like, they don't connect with me, and I don't have an interest. And we mentioned, for example, if I go back to my screen share, so we can kind of start with, I don't know, maybe just like start with one and go through each, but I've got Tough Mudder up.
Yeah.
And Tough Mudder, Tough Mudder lists out their obstacles, and immediately I was like, the first one is called Arctic Enema, and I was like, no, I'm not interested. Like, it's a cold plunge. Like, I think it's the enema part that was kind of turning me off.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't.
Yeah,
like
I mean, but they're also like gimmicky
yeah.
to sell
So
things.
yeah,
And
Arctic
people
Enema,
buy
you go
into
through
that.
cold plunge. Everest, which is the slippery sloped wall thing. Mudderhorn, the Block Ness Monster, which is that
That's pretty
rotating
clever.
block thing. And then the one we both talked about, the electroshock therapy, which I
Yeah,
was like,
that's
that was
dumb.
the one thing that someone had told me about one day, and I was like, I'm never doing that.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I don't see the point.
Yeah, I don't. That one's just a little bit of a turnoff to me. And
Yeah.
you can argue like, well, if you're in The Last of Us and you got to navigate some kind of sure. I
That's
guess. But in terms of like, and that's the thing, like CrossFit has forced me to look at things or taught me to look at things in a measurable way. And it's kind of like, well, what if, I don't know if people are getting consistent, because I've heard people say they ran through those and didn't get shocked at all. Or like it wasn't working that day, or that kind of stuff.
It shouldn't be working any day.
And then you have these other things like the Block Ness Monster thing, where it's like you need other people's help basically to get over the thing, it looks like. And that kind of bums me out. I'm like, oh, what's you have to be with other people? Like, how are you declaring winners? Like, people will be like, oh, won a Tough Mudder.
Yeah.
I'm
actually not at all familiar with that side of it.
I think you like have to complete one or several to like compete in the higher up like ranked events maybe. But at the end of the day, my point or my opinion is
Augustus Gloop.
My opinion is I think there's
yeah,
they are. There's a lot of cool stuff here. It's just not. I want to see like measurable, repeatable.
Yeah.
Like I talked to a buddy who did this, and it was just like this one where they're the pyramid scheme. Here you clearly have to crawl on other people's. I hope you guys can see these text messages popping up from Ryan Pinson, who thinks he's hilarious. The pyramid scheme. Where you like need other people's help, and there's just a mob of people. So I talked to my buddy that does. He's like, yeah, sometimes you get up to an obstacle and you have to like just stand there and wait for other people, and that bums me out about it. It's like, well, I'm not getting a time or a score at the end because or if I am, it's not accurate because I got clumped up and had to stand, and wait for people. So that's that. Oh, and then there's another one. Water conducts electricity. There's another shock event.
Yeah, that's the one I'm familiar with because you have to like
electric
crawl through,
eel.
like,
and then there's Crybaby.
water.
Prepare yourself to be pinned under a fence panel in this water pit with scant few inches of breathing room.
Yeah, that's just not.
That's the wrong description, I think. That was the description for this one. The cage crawl.
Yeah, I'm not in any of that.
Crybaby looks like you're crawling through a thing with tear gas. Which doesn't seem fun. So what do you think about the Tough Mudder? Hey, do you want to do a Tough Mudder?
No. I think like conceptually it seems fine. It's fun. It's a way to get people moving. I think there's just some like I think that they would be doing that under the guise of like mental toughness. And I just don't see how getting electrocuted is going to help me with my mental toughness. There's a lot of different ways that you can build on that or test that without.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's similar to like taking an ice bath where it's like once you just forge the mental fortitude to deal with it, you kind of just get through it. It's the same kind of deal, but
I just don't see the reason. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm also probably not going to do it. Spartan is the one. Isn't this sponsored by Reebok or something? Or owned by Reebok? They were affiliated with Reebok in some way.
Yeah,
I believe. In these so there's a couple different. Let me put my share screen up here. So you can do a city, like an urban event, a stadium event, and this is where these things have progressed a lot since back in the day when I was like seriously looking into them. 5K, 20 obstacles. What is that per like per K.
Per
4.
kilometer.
Is that 4 obstacles per kilometer?
Yeah.
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 So that's an obstacle every 250.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. One of them I looked at was like an obstacle it was over a mile. It was like every 1.2 miles there was like you hop over a car or something. And it wasn't a Spartan. I think it was some other. This was way back in the day, probably
I mean, like their ultra
6 or 8 years ago.
Their ultra's 50K distance and 60 obstacles. Their beast is 21.
That's still a
kilometers
pretty
and
good.
30.
That's pretty
yeah.
good ratio, I
Yeah.
would say. So they're definitely getting better with these. A true test, 21K, 30 obstacles. I just don't. I'm kind of confused. Well, whatever. I guess it's just. Again, I think with these endurance events, it's kind of like when you show up to run a 5K, and it's like a walk run.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, it's just whatever. You can run it.
Back.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the big criticism I've heard.
Because
from them.
the ultimate goal with these is, like I mentioned with the Tough Mudder, like the ultimate goal is really to, like cram as many people in as possible.
Yeah. But like, I mean, their A-frame.
Because that's how they have to make money.
Yeah, their A-frame, like you can only fit, maybe 8 people on there at a time.
Oh, it's cool to have a little like chart here, like
Yeah.
the city, 3 to 5K, 20 obstacles.
The one thing I like about Spartan
Strength,
over
endurance, speed, time.
Tough Mudder is they have like some weightlifting, some odd object stuff like the hoist.
That's a good point. I was like,
you're moving weight somewhere.
Yeah, like this guy's farmer carrying some sandbags. I like the look of that.
We got some monkey bars, so you're getting some grip strength in there, which is cool.
You'll earn this medal. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. They also have a lot of different
Hyrox.
iterations. So like I've got some friends that have done, they do, what's their
Oh, here's the
their
Hyrox.
death
They've got basically a CrossFit competition right on their website. 52% of gym members now cite fitness as their primary sport.
Yeah, so Hyrox is...
Fitness is the largest sport in the world, and Hyrox is the first mass participation event that gives everyday gym goers their own race to train for.
Hyrox is almost like what I would imagine if you were to try to make CrossFit an Olympic sport, right? Like CrossFit will never be an Olympic sport because it doesn't have clear testing parameters, clear timelines, etc.
Okay.
Hyrox to me is kind of the answer to that because it's a
where's
the race is the race. It doesn't ever change.
Oh, there's a Hyrox gym. Championships. What are the events? I'm having trouble finding.
I know it ends with Karen.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this I might be interested in.
There's like a sled push, sled pull.
About the race. The Hyrox race is the same all around the world, and competitors are tested in every facet of athletic performance inside impressive indoor race courses, starting with a 1K run, followed by one functional fitness movement, repeating 8 times.
Yeah, so you're always in between every event is a 1K.
Oh, here we go. Ski erg, sled push, sled pull, burpee broad jumps, rowing, farmer carry, sandbag, wall balls. Really like to see something.
Ski erg's a 1K. The sled push like weight changes based off of what division you're in. But it's 50 meters down, I think, and then 50 meters back.
Dude, you want to do a Hyrox?
I mean, I don't not want to. It's just like I would do a Hyrox without the running.
Yeah, but I think you have to do the running.
I mean, a 1K is not that bad.
I'll find my race, dude. There's one in Chicago.
I think Barkley was going to do one. I remember him asking me about the weight. Like he messaged me and asked me if he thought he could do the weight.
Miami Beach Fitness Festival. A lot of European. I mean,
here we go. So there looks like the weight on the sled for the open individual men is 152 kilos. but the pole is actually 103 kilos, so a little bit less. What is that, like 375 pounds?
So it's tough.
Yeah, 334 pounds on the push.
I got to tell you, man, that looks
53s on the farmer's carries.
I did not start this podcast thinking I'd be interested in any of these.
The cool thing is, like, we could just do this here. Like, we don't. I mean, like, obviously, like, it would be fun to actually go and do one.
That's what I said before we started. When we were talking outside before we started, I was like, we should just start. I mean, the Winter Wonder Ruck is kind of that.
Yeah. Also, to clarify, it's not Karen. It's only 100 wall balls. So
weak,
soft. Actually, I have said
tough,
since I've started CrossFit that I would not do Karen, and to this day, I don't think I've done Karen.
Dude, let's do Fran and Karen this year.
I don't want to do Karen. I said I'll never do Karen.
Why?
I hate wall balls.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, but you're good at them.
Well, let's do something I hate and you're good at. That's not jujitsu.
Damn
it. Yeah, who wants to go to Stuttgart, Germany and do a high rocks? Let's go to Germany.
Should get a passport.
You're supposed to be getting one anyway. You're getting one. It's just a matter of
that's tomorrow.
Yeah, there's another one. I thought there was another one legitimately. No, there isn't. But Birmingham. There's one in Birmingham.
Let's go to Stockholm.
Kelly's dad has a house in Birmingham. We could stay with him.
Where's that at?
Alabama.
Oh. There's Hamburg. April 1st.
Yeah. I was just... Maybe Kelly and I were talking. I was just talking about the... Oh, no, I was talking to my friend George, if anybody knows my friend George. Shout out, George. Talking about like making excuses to travel, and Kelly and I went to see the Formula One race in Austin, Texas, and I was like, this could be like my thing. I'll travel and watch F1 races. And then I went and traveled to one in Italy and had a really bad time. So I kind of dropped the ball on that.
They're also F1's fault. That was just
it. Kind of was.
Was it?
It kind of was. So yeah, and if we can digress for a moment, when you go to the race in Austin, Circuit of the Americas, it's a huge track, and there's some good elevation changes. So there's like some nice grassy, I hate to say knoll, but grassy knolls, because everyone's, ooh, grassy knoll. Conspiracy theory. A nice grassy knoll at the top of, I think it's turn 1, the end of the big straight. And it's like there's several places like that where you can easily get some elevation to spectate without being in a grandstand. General admission tickets are massively cheaper than getting a seat or a box. And so we got GA tickets for the Austin race and had a great time. Saw everything we needed to see. And just had a really good time. So we thought we'll do the same, get GA when we go to Monza in Italy, which is like one of the most famed racing circuits in the world, at least in the Formula One realm. And couldn't see a damn thing. Just had like had to walk like literally for miles to get into the place. It's just really odd. And it's like I was in a spot. I've got a photo I took with my 360 camera held up. I'm behind 3 people is all that's between me and the barricade to see the track, and I can't see.
Yeah. That's wild.
Is how like bad. And I walked, and you couldn't like complete a whole walk around the entire circuit. It was like blocked off at one point, so you had to go like up and over the circuit, and it was just like, it was bad. And then I heard, and I thought it was bad, but I was like, well, maybe I just didn't know what to expect. Like I didn't prepare myself properly, or, maybe you just have to get in there early to get a good spot or whatever. But there weren't that many people there. It wasn't that crazy. Just like, it felt like you should have been able to watch, and you just couldn't. And there were no screens. So when you go to like Circuit of the Americas, there's giant TVs everywhere. So you can be anywhere. You can hear the announcer, and you can see the action on the screen. It's like watching a TV feed at home, but you're also there. Super cool. They had almost no TVs, and the one TV I was near was just facing the grandstands on the other side of the track, so you couldn't see it at all. And then I read about it when I got home, and everybody was complaining about how bad it was. They wouldn't let anybody bring in their own water, and then lines to get like water and beer were as long as like 90 minutes to just stand in line and wait.
You think like event organizers would have learned from Woodstock 99? on the whole like water situation.
Well, I don't want to stereotype, but Italy has kind of a reputation of being not super organized sometimes as a country.
All I needed was Limp Bizkit, and people would have been rioting.
So I wasn't real surprised.
Yeah.
This was also the country while we were there. We're on our way to another city to get to Monza, actually. And at 8:30, the conductor comes through the train and just announces, hey,
Yeah.
everybody's going on strike. The train is stopping at the next stop at 9 o'clock, and everyone has to get off. We're on strike. And yeah, so we just got off in some random town in Italy with all of our luggage and my poor parents. And had to just figure it out. So
yeah, that's wild.
and all the Italians are just like,
oh,
well,
yeah.
you know, that's
Guess
the
we're just
way
here
things
for the
go. You just
afternoon.
don't know what you're gonna get every day.
That's so funny.
So what else? Was there another obstacle?
We were
Well,
talking about Go Ruck events too. Which are
Go Ruck. Yeah, tell
kind
me.
of obstacles.
Tell us about Go Ruck.
How
How does that stack up?
It's no running. Not, I shouldn't say no running. I've had to run at a couple events.
How long was yours?
12 hours.
Do they come in different?
Yeah,
Durations?
different flavors, if you will.
Yeah.
So kind of the entry level one is the let me see real quick. Go Ruck events. Go Ruck. So I've always done the toughs, and I've done a couple of their more interesting. Like they don't do the like they've cut out some events, just because low sign up, whatever. So I've done the tough. They have a basic, which is 6 hours, and that's where you'll have a lot more people. So kind of the general theme of Go Ruck is all of their employees are.
This looks like it's an event geared towards Nick Offerman's character in that episode of.
So
Last
it's
of
all
Us.
based off of like special forces training. So everyone there has been in some special forces branch in the military. So they bring out these cadre.
All the instructors.
Yeah, sorry, all the instructors.
Yeah.
So they do the basic, they do the tough, they do the heavy. That's kind of their big events. The basic is 6 hours, the tough is 12, the heavy is 24. And like CrossFit competition, you don't really know what you're going to be doing. You can bet your dollar on a couple things. You're going to be carrying your pack. Your pack's going to be 30 pounds without gear. With gear, it's going to be more like probably 40 to 45. You're going to get wet. You're going to walk a lot. But like the whole premise is like it's team building. So like the cadres, essentially their job is to break you down as an individual so that you have to rely on your team to survive.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's I think it says here, it kind of summarizes pretty well. It says always a team event, never a race.
Yes. They do races now. So that's the Go Ruck challenge. They also do star courses, which are literally 4 times. So that you have to like traverse space.
Oh, here we go. Choose your challenge. Basic, tough, heavy.
Yeah. So the star challenge is a new one. I haven't done a star course, but essentially you get lateral, like what's longitude, latitude? What's the one I'm looking for? You get like a latitude, longitude mark to go to.
Yeah. Coordinates. Yeah, there it is. We got it.
You get coordinates, and then you get there. When you get there, you get the next coordinates. So you're basically, it's like this kind of urban scavenger hunt. They also do they do shooting events, which I've never done.
Yeah, they got a whole tactical section.
Yeah. The one thing I'm sad that they got rid of, they used to do this survivalist event. And I can't remember the name of it, but it was a lot of fun.
They do have the heavy event, which is 24 plus hours, 40 miles, 50% completion rate, and 20 to 30 pounds weight requirement.
Yeah. So I've never done 50%. A heavy.
I'm going to pass on that.
There was a time where I really wanted to do a heavy, and I probably would again. The tough is great. Like I highly encourage anyone to at least do a basic because it's a lot of fun. It's like, it's miserable, but the stories that you get out of that, it's one of those things where it's not fun in the middle of it. Like you're hating everything, but afterwards you've got great stories, especially if you do it with friends.
Yeah.
And you get a cool patch. which is fun, and a Budweiser.
I do think I was having a conversation with Kelly recently about something totally unrelated, but the conversation came up, and I was like, you know what? I'm really there are times when I see other people react or respond to situations, and I'm really thankful for the physical and mental fortitude that I have forged.
Yeah.
As much as like relatively, I'm talking about like, I don't want to do this 24-hour event. That's too much. And it's like, yeah, maybe not want to do it, but I have forced myself to do things I don't want to do in the past. And what I tell you about the Wonder Ruck every time that comes up, I'm like, every year I get out of bed 7:00 on a Saturday morning, and I'm kind of like, why am I doing this? I don't want to. It's cold. We've done it before. I already know I can do it. Somebody else can test it. And I just say, no, of course I'm going to go. You just have those thoughts. And of course, at no point am I actually going to bail on Brian and not go out and do the event. But as soon as, and I told Brian this year when we got out, like as soon as we get done with our first leg, we get out on the course right at the graffiti wall. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I did this. Like you kind of like that endorphin wave hits you or whatever it is. And I just feel good. So like my point is, I think there's a lot of people that can benefit and should benefit from any of these events.
And I will say like I've only done one tough where I'm shocked that I didn't quit. And like I had two of like the most well-known like hard ass cadre. Cadre DS owns a CrossFit gym. I forget where. And then Cadre Dan is an old like parajumper in the Air Force.
Okay.
And they are like well known across like the Go Ruck community as being just like, if they are doing an event, you're gonna get your shit kicked in.
Yeah.
And we had
notorious.
We had like a quarter of our class quit within the first 3 hours. And it's so that if obviously most of our listeners are local, probably remember like when the river flooded. What was this like?
I think we're getting pretty big in Brazil.
Was it like 5 years ago when the Merrimack or the Mississippi, whatever, under the arch flooded?
Yeah.
So it was during that. It was like July. It was a July 4th tough. And we met at 8 p.m. under the arch. We didn't leave the arch until around midnight when the park rangers kicked us out. They basically just beat us down for 4 hours. Burpees, push-ups, overhead holds with the ruck. Unpack your bag, like dump your pack, repack it, just breaking us down. And it's hot, like it's July 4th.
I don't like that.
And we ended up carrying. I have a picture somewhere. I probably should have thought about this before. I could have sent it to you. But I have a picture of us carrying this old steel refrigerator filled with Budweiser and bricks and water through the floodwaters. It was just gnarly.
Yeah, and I think like not to at all like put myself in that category like, oh, I've basically done a Go Ruck challenge. Like I haven't, but I've done things in my life where I had that same thought where I was like, and I've been stuck in foreign countries where trains have been canceled, planes have been canceled. You're out in the middle of nowhere and you have no choice. I've been on quote unquote vacations with Kelly's dad where I want to quit because we're in Africa and you just like, you're being led by a guy who's basically a human camel and just can go, he needs no water and he can move all day. And he's just like, yeah, we're out. You're in the middle of nowhere. You got no choice. You got to keep going. That's you got your pack or whatever. Favorite. And you had no idea what you were getting into. So you're mentally just screwed.
You're just not ready. Yeah.
Yeah. And like,
that's one of the best things about the tough is one of the requirements to sign up is you have $20 bill on you. It's called your quitter's cash. If at any point you want to quit, you hand that to your cadre. He'll call you an Uber or a cab or whatever, and you're done. But
oh, man.
I mean, after we left the arch, there was literally no point where you could just quit because we're out in like the floodwaters. Like, we're,
and you get so far in where you're like, what am I going to do?
This is a story. I didn't do this, but we're like trespassing on property that we're not supposed to be at. So what are you going to do? Like, you're going to have to walk out anyways. Might as well walk with the group and carry something and finish.
Yeah. When you do, once you're in, you get to a point where you're like, well, I'm in, and it's kind of like that with the ruck, the Wonder Ruck that we do, where it's like you get out to the arch, and you're like, man, I don't want to repeat this whole thing a
But
second time.
even
But
if
you're
you
like,
quit, you still have to
Yeah.
walk back.
and you're like, well, you're like, I could probably call somebody to come pick me up. Like, we have
Yeah.
volunteers out in a golf cart and a cars or whatever. But it's like, I made it here.
Yeah.
It's gonna be unpleasant, but I know
But I can do it again. You're not going to not. Yeah.
And those are the things that, like, when we get stuck and our train's canceled in Italy, and we've all got bags. My parents have bags that they can barely carry themselves for short distances, and now we have to walk 2 miles to get to the center of this town, and we don't know what's going to be there or who's going to speak English or
3 kilometers.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to walk 3K. And so Kelly and I have to carry their bags part of the way. And, your feet already hurt and you're already tired because maybe you got up extra early to catch the train. And all of a sudden you get hit with a right hook you didn't see coming.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, we're just so impressed with how you and Kelly just like handled everything. Like, because and I'm like, that's what traveling abroad is like. You just, stuff happens you're not expecting, and you just have to roll with it. You got to go find another train ticket or another plane ticket, or talk to someone that you didn't think you were going to have to talk to, or whatever. And like carry your bag a much further distance because you're just in some city, and you're like, luckily when you're in a bigger city, there's 9 times out of 10, there's something that your $20 bill will get you out of. Like you can call a cab, or you can, Uber or rent a car or something. We ended up renting a very expensive rental car to get us where we were going because it was the only one available. It's like, oh, we don't have any rental cars available. We do have this 2019 5 Series BMW. How much does that cost? So yeah, you just kind of learn to roll with it. So I think in summary,
well, you can always look back and like, man, I've done something way harder than this.
Yeah,
but you've always done. There's always something that you've
that's
done.
Kind of that's my point. Like you're there hauling luggage, and you're like, shit, I did a 2.5 hour ruck event with somebody where I had a weight vest on. Yeah, we had a weight vest on, and we were like going for time. Like this isn't even. I can sit down and rest whenever I want.
Yeah,
this isn't even that bad. So I don't know. I might be into. I don't love endurance type stuff. So to your point of me being quote unquote good at wall balls, like I am decent at them. I don't like them. I'm decent at them, and the same goes for like running and endurance in general. I think I'm kind of built for some of that stuff, like a little bit longer legs, and I'm decent at running. But I hate running. I don't enjoy it. So not as good as I could be. But maybe if you want to do a high rocks, I'll do one.
Better start getting my engine back.
Shift gears.
Or not. Just go into a dry.
Brian, I know you're out there. Let's do a high rocks. I know you're listening. Austin, Alex, I know you're listening. Hit me up in the comments. Let us know if you want to head over to Stuttgart, Germany tomorrow for a high rocks. There were so many cities though.
Yeah. That
is honestly appealing.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten bigger, and I think a lot of that is because what's that guy?
I don't think I'd do Chicago's.
What's that? Who's that guy that got put in the games? He got like a invite from Glassman, and everyone hated him. 2019. He's like a. I'm gonna find him. Give me 1 second.
Oh, when he was doing when they did like the wild card.
Yeah, he was one of the wild cards.
Was that the year where they ended up with 5 athletes at the games? Was that 19 or 20?
Hunter McIntyre.
Oh yeah.
He's been the high rocks champion for a while, and I think because he's involved in it, it's definitely gotten bigger.
Okay.
Because again, like whether you like him or not doesn't matter. Like he does a great job marketing himself.
Okay.
He's the Conor McGregor of endurance events.
We're wrapping up, but real quick before we go, did you see Conor McGregor got hit by a car?
No.
Yeah, I just saw like a little reel, but he got hit by a car while he was riding his bike, and then he's shooting like a YouTube or a Instagram reel or whatever, or TikTok or something, and he's like, yeah, I just got my bike in the back. This guy just hit me with his car, and he's riding in the car with the guy. He's like, this is Mike. He's a really good guy. Hit me. Just the whole thing was so funny. He was just like, yeah, this is, I forget the guy's name. I'm
Yeah.
paraphrasing, but he's like, yeah, this is Mike. He just hit me with his car. He's a really nice bloke. And he just like,
I'm interested to see what happens when he comes back, because he'll be the first one that snapped his leg outside of Anderson Silva that's come back, and Anderson Silva did not come back well. But Connor also found a loophole in USADA where he got to be pulled out of the testing pool, so he could just dope his
leg off.
Just looking juicy.
All right. So yeah, that's our topic for today. Thanks for listening and or watching. It's been great.
Yeah, go sign up for something that's hard.
Go get uncomfortable.
Go do something that sucks.
This has been the Gambit Stratagem podcast. Check you next time.